I'm really excited to be at Green Door Gourmet here today. There are 150 acres of certified organic land. They grow all kinds of fruits and vegetables and cut flowers, so let's go take a look. I'm here with Luke Yoder. He's one of the farm managers down here at Green Door Gourmet. We're in this huge patch of tomatoes. What are we growing here specifically?
They're pretty much all heirlooms with the exception of a couple of the Artisan series from Johnny's, which is a hybrid.
Okay.
But Cherokee Purples, Black Cherry Tomatoes, San Marzanos, like a paste tomato, the Tennessee Bradley tomato, I hadn't grown that before. I figure it's a local variety, it should work out well.
Right, yeah.
What I've been trying to do here is kind of find a middle ground between industrial organic and biodynamic. So with the intention of using all on-farm resources and on-farm closed-loop fertility, that's my goal here. But also kind of the scale and the fast pace of growth here that we've been trying to get to pretty quickly.
Sure.
I think it edges into the industrial organic. I just call it industrial organic in that it's a lot of conventional practices, but it is organic. So there isn't the synthetic pesticides and fertilizers and fungicides, which is great.
Yeah.
But there are certain practices that I don't think are necessarily sustainable that most of organic agriculture uses. So
sure.
One of those would be a lot of plastic, called the plasticulture system.
Sure.
And
yeah.
So you can see back there, you can barely see it at this point because the squash has grown up so much, but I prefer not to use plastic. We had 2 plantings of squash this year that had basically almost no yield.
Wow.
And so at that point I was like, okay, I'm willing to give it a shot. And it could have been just changing the weather, but the results were really incredible how much squash we were harvesting off just putting that layer of plastic.
Sure.
But none of these tomatoes have the plastic, and instead of using that mulch, we used hay. It's been awesome so far to be able to use something that's grown here, and we're not having to transport it. We're not having to have a factory make it out of petroleum products.
Sure.
We're increasing the organic matter, and we're keeping the weeds down and keeping the soil cool and more moist. So that's the intention of the mulch. So yeah, you can see our trellising system. I've heard it called all kinds of things like Florida weave, Colorado weave, some kind of regional weave. But I think a lot of it's pretty common, especially with indeterminate tomato. And these are all indeterminate. This one has 8 strings up, and these are pretty tall posts. You can't see how far they are in the ground either. But so as soon as the plant's planted, it's usually only really a couple weeks till you need to start trellising, and you have to be on it right away. So at that point, we'll be suckering. So taking off we want to get just basically one vine, at least at the beginning. Later on, we'll let it branch out. But at that young age, when it gets to this tall, it needs a string, because afterward, if you're picking them up and putting them in, you end up damaging leaves. So then throughout their growth, when the vegetative growth stages are really high, we're out every week or 2 weeks.
Wow.
Putting one more round of string. So if you do them one at a time, it's not too big of a deal. Just go up and down. You get pretty fast at it. So you basically wrap around the post, and then the posts are about 8 feet apart here. So you'll come along to one post, tie it, come up to the next one, and tie it. And so you're coming down one side, and on the way back, you come down the other side.
The other side, okay.
So ideally, you're not having to pick up the tomato or do really any kind of trellising work. All you're doing is just running a string, a preventative string before it falls over.
Yeah, I mean, and these plants are, what, like 8 feet tall? So it looks like it's
I'm
working
6,
pretty well.
So.
Yeah. This looks like an interesting variety of okra. Tell me about this one.
This is the burgundy okra. And then next to it, we have the Clemson Spineless, kind of a standard green okra.
Yeah, very cool. And it has these really nice flowers. It's fairly ornamental also.
It is. It's a really beautiful plant, and I prefer the taste. The pods themselves can get a little longer and still be tender, versus the standard green. You need to get them when they're more like a thumb. This you can get kind of like a larger finger. Okay. And it's a little bit longer, more slender.
Yeah.
Pod as well.
Cool. And it looks like a hibiscus almost. Is that correct?
It does kind of look like that. Yeah. It's similar colors and shapes. So.
Yeah. So what do we have? Is this Hyacinth Bean over here?
This is actually You might have to come down this way to see a little bit better, but this is a type of spinach called the Malabar spinach. And it's not really even in the spinach family.
Yeah.
But it's a heat-loving green.
Yeah,
And so it would love it if it was 110 degrees and humid every day of its life. So here it would be an annual, but in tropical places it's a perennial. It can be a perennial vine. But as you can see, I mean, it just grows like crazy. It does need a trellis. I'd recommend starting indoors because it has a pretty long germination. And in the heat of the summer, it's hard to get seeds up sometimes outside. It's actually a really large seed as well, about the size of a peanut. It doesn't necessarily taste like spinach. I'd say more like Swiss chard, a little earthy.
Yeah.
Kind of that oxalic acid taste.
That little bit of edge of sliminess, kind of.
Yeah, kind of like okra, yeah.
Well, these are some really healthy pepper plants right here. Looks like you got a lot of varieties.
A couple different kinds of hot peppers, probably way too many. Ghost pepper and scorpion peppers.
Cool. Yeah.
I really like cayenne. Cayenne is probably my favorite hot pepper. It's got a lot of good heat, but a lot of good flavor, and I've heard good things about the health effects of a cayenne pepper versus any other. Of course, a lot of jalapenos. And then this is the Carmen, kind of a horn-shaped pepper. It turns red. We've picked all the red ones off. And then a bunch of different kinds of bells.
I see some eggplants.
Yeah, this is the standard kind of black beauty style eggplant, and then the white. It's actually Johnny's varieties, Clara and Blanca.
Yeah. But is this Blanca?
Yes. Yep. And
cool.
they get large, just like you would harvest a standard black beauty. And then tried out some other varieties of eggplant as well. This is a Turkish Orange. We've picked all the orange ones already, but these will actually turn an orange color, and they're about that size, maybe the size of like a tangerine. First round of 2 other kinds of eggplant just totally died, didn't stand up to the flea beetle pressure.
I was gonna say.
We have, and this, I mean, these even look pretty eaten up, but they're doing better than the last planting, that's for sure.
Yeah, so do you try to do anything, or do you just try to grow varieties that are a little more resistant?
Well, this is another one of those like lines, you know, the industrial organic to biodynamic spectrum. I'm trying to ride right in between. I guess a biodynamic farmer, there's different methods they use for pest control, which I haven't necessarily gotten into, but plant health is the first thing, and growing the plant at the right time are probably the most important things. And I've found that the flea beetle pressure does ease up a little later in the season. So just working with what the natural rhythm of the season is one of the most helpful things. But then we've tried diatomaceous earth. You know, you kind of sprinkle the powder on out of like a shaker or a sock or something like that, and works for a little bit, and it rains and washes off, and you need to do it again, and you want to do it when it'll stick to the plant. I don't know, it really didn't help with the last planting of eggplant. An organic farmer can use something called pyganic, which is supposed to have an effect on the flea beetles. But that's when there's all these organic approved sprays that are out there, biological controls, and that's one I'm pretty cautious of because I know it'll harm a lot of the ecology. And I just love when I see an ecological solution to a pest that some people will do, like release different bugs. I've never done that, but by growing flowers, this patch doesn't really have a lot of flowers. I wish it had more, but maybe I'd have less flea beetles problems. But growing flowers and just cover cropping and having a diverse ecosystem to attract things like the parasitoid wasp. On tomatoes, we've found, you know, the tomato hornworm. Yeah. I've seen a couple this year that are covered in these white egg sacs. And the parasitoid wasp will lay those eggs and actually take over the body of the hornworm. And that's just one of the coolest things, one of my favorite things to see is when the ecology can help support you. But in order to have that happen, you gotta be patient, and you might lose some crops too, because you're thinking, well, I don't want to spray this thing that's going to kill everything. I don't want to completely bomb the area, and then leaves it more susceptible to the next pest. So it's definitely a tricky line, because when you're trying to run a business and have good production, you're faced with these decisions like, do I do this thing that might harm the future, ecological and soil health, or do I do the thing that's right to do, you know, for long-term soil health, but we might lose a crop?
This is a really interesting plant over here. What's this guy?
This is called a Lychee Tomato. This is again from the Baker Creek catalog. I noticed they had this whole section in there. They call them solanum fruits. So they're related to the tomato. They're in the nightshade family, but a lot of them are from tropical areas. I think actually a lot in South America. So some of them were kind of on the very edge of being able to grow as an annual in Tennessee, because the frost will kill them. But yeah, this is the Lychee Tomato, and it makes these little red fruits like that.
Wow.
So it's, you know, a little bit of sweeter, kind of different taste versus a cherry tomato.
Yeah, yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got another real spiny plant here.
Yeah.
What's this guy?
This is called the naranjilla. And I haven't been able to taste one of these fruits yet. It's just starting to flower, and it has a really long season. So I'm really looking forward to it. I can't help but think of something so spiky is guarding something really tasty.
Yeah, right. It looks like another nightshade too with the flowers.
Yeah, it is, yeah, and it's actually a really soft, fuzzy leaf, and I've heard it as well in containers. So if you, that gives you the option of bringing it inside on a frost or something like that, because I mean, it's also a really pretty ornamental
It is,
plant.
yeah. That's the place I've seen it is in gardens, just one or two here there for its leaves. Appreciate you showing me around the gardens here.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks. So I'm in the store here with Sylvia Gagnier at Green Door Gourmet, and we're looking at all the beautiful produce out of their fields. Tell me about all the things that y'all offer at the store.
Well, it's pretty amazing. The store began because we wanted to have a spot just for our vegetables. And about 5 years ago, that's all we did, Saturday mornings in an open air shed, and the demand grew with people looking for not only our vegetables, but other things local. So now we work with over 100 different artisan producers and other farms to come together in a cooperative, collective manner. So you can get everything from grass-fed meat to homemade jams, fresh produce, glass bottle milk. It's just really a fun concept when you're looking for something local to find it all in one spot.
Yeah, I really do feel like it's kind of like a mecca of the local stuff within Davidson County. It's wonderful. So many things offered here. You really just have to come out and see it yourself. So I invite you to come out to Green Door Gourmet and just check it out yourself.